Hey, Courtney here from Fount. We've gotten an amazing response from you all, sewers out there. Please go to our website, fountleather.com. We have a mask page there, and that has facts and questions. We want to have as much information on there as possible. I believe that there's a sewing playlist that I made for you as well. If you have any questions, please reference that. You can also call our customer service line and email us. And we want to make this as easy as possible for you all. And the style mask that we are going to be making today, I'm going to show you how to make it, is this type of mask. And so it's got wire on the nose, and it just goes around your ears like that. And this is the type of mask that UH prefers for us to be making for them right now. Something I want to note is there's a lot of different types of masks that people can be making to protect themselves and others, and there's a lot of great masks out there. This, as of right now, this is these are the patterns that UH is providing for us for our mask kits, and it might be changing. The style is there's basically 4 pieces of fabric for each mask, and so they're really similar. Basically just one piece is the same, but it's just a little bit shorter. And then you will be getting a wire in your mask kit, a little piece of wire, and then you may be getting elastic or a type of ribbon. And so the ribbon is 48 inches long, and then the elastic should be 6.5 inches long, and the wire should be 3 inches long. If you aren't local, if you aren't getting one of these mask kits from us, the patterns and all the information for these will be on our website, University Hospital's website, and you can just print off the patterns at your home, and you can follow this tutorial here. It should take about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. The first time I sewed one, it took about 12 minutes, but then I was sewing pretty fast, and once you sew a lot, you'll get quicker at them. And the other great thing is when you're sewing a lot at once, you can just sew them assembly style, and that'll always be a little bit quicker too. So the way that you do assembly style is you will sew one step at a time for every mask. And that way, if you think of it this way, the less you are moving your hands, the more time you're saving. So I'm gonna start sewing this. All right. So what you're gonna want to start off doing is taking, for each mask, it'll take 2 of the longer guys, 2 of the shorter guys. So you're gonna put the 2 long guys together and 2 short guys together, and you're gonna sew around the curved parts on each of them. You're gonna sew it at 1/4 of an inch, and you're gonna make sure to back stitch at the beginning and end of all of your stitches, because that's what's gonna lock in your threads. And the UH is going to be sanitizing and washing these themselves, and I'm sure they're probably been doing that several times with each mask. So you want to make sure each stitch is really secure. You don't want any of these masks falling apart in the washing machine or anything. So I'm going to start with the outer piece, and I'm going to put this in my sewing machine and sew it at 1/4 of an inch. So this is a great time to use any of those threads in your house that you don't normally use. I'm really excited to be using a more colorful thread than I normally use. I hope that it kind of just brightens up the masks, make them a little bit happy. The next part that you're gonna do is you are going to sew the short ends of each of these pieces. So you're gonna fold that over, make sure that you're working on the side that has the seam allowance. This is gonna be the inside, and this is all gonna be hidden inside here. So you're gonna fold over each each of these short sides about 3/8 of an, or sorry, 3/8 of an inch. And you really don't have any need to, there's no need for for an iron here. With this type of fabric, it is, you can just use the heat of your fingers to kind of fold that down, and that'll make a crease, and the iron will kind of just take more time to bring that out. So now that I have all of those sewed down, I'm gonna sew this assembly style again. So I'm gonna sew it at 1/4 of an inch. This, it's okay that there's raw edges. This type of fabric doesn't, it frays a little bit, but it won't completely unravel, so that is totally fine. So now you're gonna flip you're gonna flip it over so that you're looking at the outside of the mask, and then you're gonna place the inside mask and the outside mask together, lining up the side seams. And make sure that you're putting them together with like the clean sides together. So we're gonna be sewing this mask inside out first. That's what we're doing. So I'm just gonna start at the center seam. Gonna back stitch. I'm sewing this at 1/4 of an inch. And I've got a little knife right here. If you've got those types of tools, those are always good. Now that I have got, this is what I've got so far. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sew in the wire part. This is 3 inches long. And what I'm gonna do is I'm basically gonna fold it in half a little bit so that I have a halfway mark, and I'm gonna center that, on the mask. So now I'm gonna kind of replicate this shape, and I'm gonna sew this onto the mask right in the seam allowance of this point. So I'm gonna change the stitch on my machine to a zigzag stitch, and I'm gonna make it kind of a wider zigzag so that I'm covering the wire, and I'm gonna make the stitching pretty tight together so that it's really in there. Yesterday when I was stitching this, when I was sewing one of the masks, I did stitch through a wire. That is no fun. And now the next thing we have to do is we're gonna stitch this part together. So I'm gonna change my machine back to a straight stitch, and I'm gonna make sure that these center seams are lined up. I like to open up my seams typically because it just makes everything lay nicer when you open your seam up. All right, so now I'm holding it there with my fingers, and I am going to start stitching again at 1/4 of an inch. Okay, now we are at a very exciting part where we're almost done. We basically have one step left, and here is the only place where it's going to be different, how you're attaching your I just turned this inside out, as you can see. But anyways, so now this next part is gonna be different whether you're using elastic or ribbon, but it's really not that different. It's pretty similar. But basically, yeah, turn your mask inside out and make sure that wire is facing the right direction. At this point, I like to use my hands again to kind of just make sure all the seams are laying nicely. And now what you're gonna do is you're gonna sew this part. You're gonna meet it, this folded edge to this folded edge. You're gonna meet it and stitch it there, and in that tunnel there is where either your elastic or ribbon is gonna be. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna kind of take these raw edges and I'm gonna fold them in, and then I'm gonna take this folded edge and meet it with this folded edge. And now with the ribbon, I think it's easiest to just, you'll place it in there. Same exact thing. And then we're gonna stitch there. So I'm gonna show you how to sew it with the ribbon first. So I've got the ribbon in there, and now I'm gonna come back over here and I'm gonna just stitch that down. Okay, so for this side, I will show you how to sew in the elastic if that's what you've got. So now I'm gonna put the elastic there. And again, this is a 3.5, this is a 6.5 inch piece of elastic. And the length is 6.5 inches, where you want the width of the elastic to be no more than 1/4 of an inch, because it'll be really uncomfortable behind somebody's ears if it's any thicker than that. So I'm gonna fold that in, I'm gonna stitch it down. So now if you've got the elastic, what you're gonna do at this point is you're gonna, well, first it's good to double check that you haven't sewn it down if that's a concern. Now I'm gonna just fold the elastic over itself about 1/2 inch, and I'm gonna stitch right over there, right over the two of them, because you wanna make sure this is a really strong stitch. So you wanna back stitch a lot here. Oops, zipper, or a zigzag stitch is good here. Yeah, it looks a little messy there, but you know what? That's just the journey of life, you know? Okay, so if you have that elastic sewn, this is what that would be like. And then if you had the ribbon, then you would have just placed it in the same spot on either side, and boom, here it is. Put that sucker on. Nice. So that's how you make this mask. Is there anything else I should say? I think I said it all. Okay. Good job being you. Let's all sew.